What's the Bible about, really? I think that it breaks down to three surprising options, and this video is going to be more of a choose your own adventure. You get to pick which option you believe. But it's a very fascinating, interesting book. And this video is for people that are curious about the Bible. And this is going to be a two-part series where the first one I talk about what's the Bible about really from a meta viewpoint. There's really three major viewpoints that kind of capture it all. Almost all people will fall into one of these three categories. And in the second video, I am going to share why the Bible is either a bizarre or a brilliant book. I mean, it stood the test of time. Why? Let's get into that. So, what are these three options that I'm talking about? Well, option number one is it was written by men to control other people. There is a lot of, now, this is the skeptical view, the skeptical approach to the Bible. And by the way, not wrong to be skeptical about something. However, I will say this, when we approach the Bible with pure skepticism or pure belief, we will see what we already believe in it. That's why I'm telling you there's three options to approach the Bible so that you can kind of choose your own adventure about how you want to approach it. So, the skeptical belief, the criticism that people have about the Bible is that it was written by a bunch of men to control a bunch of people. And the evidence that they have for their belief is in how the Bible has been used since it's been written, because it has been used by people to enforce the will upon the other people. So, when something's been used like that, then of course it's natural to think, was this the reason why it was written? Or is there other reasons? Okay. So I just want to be honest. I've heard many, many times, thus saith the Lord, because that sounds a whole lot more official than thus says the preacher. You should do this. So they go to the Bible, they find a verse, they tell other people what to do and what that verse means. In fact, there was even a time during history where people did not even need to read the Bible for themselves because we who are more educated and more qualified and closer to God can tell you what it says and what it means and how you should interpret it. So, that's option number 1. People trying to control other people. Be aware that that's an option to approaching the Bible, okay? And by the way, if you truly believe that, then you will see evidence for that. But what's option number 2? Well, if it wasn't written by man, it was, as believers claim, that it was written by God. That seems like either far-fetched or completely reasonable, depending on where your beliefs are. So, option number 2 is God wrote it to tell people how to live in order to please him. Remember, I've said there's three options. Option number 2 is what I grew up under and I believed for about 20 years. That's a long time, by the way. This has the belief that we were created to keep God, make God happy, keep him happy. That God is this angry tyrant just waiting for us to mess up. He seems capricious. By the way, this is very, very similar to all of the other beliefs about gods from the Romans and the Greeks. The gods must be in control and they must be angry at us. That's why there's this storm. Um, and when we believe this, we will find abundant evidence for this. I mean, 100%. You'll find it all the way through. Look at all the list of commands. Thou shalt not. Do this, don't do that. There's a story. Should I live life exactly like this story? Should my husband have 3 or 4 wives because Abraham had more than one wife? It gets wild fast. And it gets heavy fast because there are so many commands in the Bible. hundreds of them. There are so many thou shalt nots. There are so many stories, 66 books, thousands of pages, tens of thousands of words. So, option two, it was written by God to tell us humans how to keep him pleased. Option number three is God wrote it to us, for our sake, not to keep him happy. Like he's self contained in himself, but consider it like a designer saying, hey, I've created the world, and here is a glimpse of who I am, what my plan is about, for you to find all kinds of beneficial information in it. How am I trying to say this? God wrote it to us for our benefit. Simply said, God wrote it to us to reveal to us our best way to be happy. Now, there would have been a time when I thought that would be the most sacrilegious thing to say, that God wrote the Bible to show us how to be happy. And hear me when I say this. I'm not saying that God wrote it so that God's a genie in the bottle waiting for us to rub the lamp and he's going to grant us wishes. That's not what I'm talking about. But and here is a very, very simplistic example. I went to IKEA recently, bought some furniture. When you get the furniture, it's all flat packed. All the pieces are there. All the pieces to create the piece of furniture that you desired to have. And there's an instruction book. And when followed exactly, the end result will be the most ideal result for that design. Because the designer who put all the parts together also gave the instruction manual for it. Now, there's way more to the Bible than that, but that's an idea of, and so let me share with you three reasons why I think God wrote the Bible to us for us to light a way back to our happiness, which ultimately is best fulfilled in Him. The very first verse, the very opening act of the Bible says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. So, the very first thing that the Bible reveals about God Himself is that He is the creator of all things. Okay, so if He's the creator, the designer, then He knows best, right? Then you go a few chapters in, and it talks about the beautiful garden that He planted Adam and Eve in. And it was this place of abundance and this place of provision. And He did something that I think precludes option two and leans more towards option three. He gave those two humans agency, as in the ability to choose. He gave them the option of freedom. So even though there is one rule, the context of that is that they had the ability to choose to obey it or disobey it. So, agency. He gave His creation agency. He designed agency into the system. And when they didn't choose the way that He had designed, He, number one, He did some beautiful things in the garden. He clothed them with clothes, even though He told them, listen, the consequences of your choice are still here, they're still going to exist. Also, I have a plan of redemption. And so it becomes this great unfolding drama of redemption, this great story where even if it's not true, it's a fascinating story. But if it is true, then it's worth reading and exploring to see for yourself. And then the third reason that I believe option three is because when you go several books into the Bible's 66 books, all put together into one big book. Then there's this book of Psalms, and that opens up with the very first phrase in it, blessed is the man, as in happy is the man. And it says, happy is the man who doesn't do these things, but actually does these things. And it says he doesn't hang out with the skeptics and the people that doubt my existence. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law does he meditate day and night. So he delights in my words and my design, and these are all the blessings that are going to come to him. So when I say option number 3 is that God wrote the book to us, for us, ultimately, for us to find the path to happiness. I'm hanging that happiness on that verse in Psalm 1. Blessed is the man, as in God saying, I'm self contained in myself. I don't need you to please me for me to be happy. I'm showing you how you're going to be happy. And here's a whole book full of patterns and promises and stories and examples. And yes, commands, because some of these things are very, very strongly. And to the extent that you align with my plan, abundant life is the natural consequence of it. And to the extent that you resist my design, my plan, ignore the IKEA instructions, there's natural consequences that follow that. So, option 1, a power document written by men to control other people. Option number 2, a divine document written by God to show us how to please Him. Or option number 3, a document written to us to benefit us. Which, by the way, just like a father and a child, the relationship between the two together is ultimately pleasing to both parties. Okay, so obviously, if you've listened to this far, you can tell that I strongly endorse option number 3. It's what keeps me studying the Bible year after year. It's what prompts me to create this video and the next one, which is going to be about how truly bizarre the Bible really is. In case you've never, and this is geared towards people who, may not know very much at all about the Bible, but are just like, man, it seems like it's a canon of Western culture. What is this all about? The second video is for you. So, option number 1, option number 2, or option number 3. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. And I'd like to hear, would you like to hear more videos? This is only going to be a 2-video series, but if you'd like to hear more, put that in the comments and I will consider following it up. Put any questions in the comments. And if you would like to talk personally about this topic, then book a clarity call. Go to aprilbragg.as.me/clarity. I'll put the link in the description. Okay, till next time. Bye-bye.